culture-born condition. A key sustained traumatic event that facilitates the development of pathological narcissism is familial abuse and the influence of family dynamics, mainly forms of sexual, physical, or emotional abuse, coddling, and neglect as well. We must make the distinction between NPD and clinically disordered families from subclinical or non-diagnosable yet highly narcissistic family environments. A narcissistic family is not always led by sufferers of full-on mental disorders, hence the subclinical designation, but can readily display highly narcissistic behavior. Behaviors that transfer debilitating abuse to their children, therefore stunting their self-development and diminishing their ability to become healthy and stable adults. This type of subclinical, non-diagnosable narcissistic family has been extremely common in the 20th and 21st centuries and passes on its traits and behaviors generation to generation. CPTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder, is currently the agreed-upon condition for disturbed, troubled, or struggling children and adults who were raised in these types of families. Children and adults who are perceived to be affected by this condition are said to suffer from immutable low self-esteem, inability to sustain intimacy, and or blocked paths to self-understanding, grouped with chronic depression, anxiety and indecisiveness, addictive personalities, high impulsivity, and desperate needs of approval and validation. They typically suffer from impulsive and erratic relationships with what is termed the Big Three, one being the base triad, sex, drugs, and alcohol, two being food, and three, money or spending. Their proclivity to addictive personalities in general will detail a multitude of fixations that do not always adhere to the so-called Big Three. For instance, fixations like video game addiction, hypochondria, and obsessive-compulsive behaviors are very common as well. So what is a non-diagnosable or subclinical narcissistic family? And what makes it stand out from diagnosable narcissistic personality disorder traits? Well, to keep this simple, we can detect the presence of a narcissistic family by specific, staunch, pervasive, and enduring traits that are present. Regardless of the presence or absence of overtly identifiable narcissistic abuse like physical or sexual, an underlying rule within the narcissistic home prevails as a standard and rubric to child rearing and family structure. This underlying, unspoken rule and enduring trait is that the needs of the parent system, or parents in general, take precedence over the needs of the children. The needs of the children are not only secondary to those of the parent, but are often seriously problematic or burdensome to the parent or parents. For instance, the emotional, financial, or social problems of the parent will take precedence over the emotional, physical, or instructional needs of the child. The preoccupied and self-obsessed parent never seems to have the time, concentration, or emotional capacity to authentically engage with the child's needs. Furthermore, the responsibility of needs fulfillment shifts from the parent to the child. The child is then forced to ignore their own needs and confusions in reaction to them noticing the parent's needs and issues are more important and granted true attention and energy instead. Here the child learns to play the role of the mirror or the reflection of the parent, and internalizes a reactive identity opposed to a proactive one. The child's identity is rooted in an approval-based behavior and dependent on his acceptable reactions to the parent's ego needs and desires to assist the parent in maintaining a good mood, social role, or stable identity, whilst swallowing, burying, or sublimating their own true self. From this point forward, the child is barred from developing a stable identity of their own, and develops a false sense of self as a sacrifice and ransom for the broken self of the parent. In this dynamic, the child either becomes parentified, or parents the parent, and or neglected, shunned, or conversely, put on an unrealistic pedestal, becoming a type of trophy or prize, an objectified hood ornament of the family automobile. Hereby, the child is rendered to an object, an extension of the parent system, a mirror reflection of the parent's worldview, the mini-me in mommy's pumps. She is more of a doll than a daughter. He is daddy's victory over old losses. He is more of a vicarious avatar than a son, a required pendant for the parent's identity, a checks and balancing system for their ego, a pillar and footstool for their own esteem, or in some cases a rub and pain, a taxing burden on their ambitions and selfish preoccupations.
Sweetheart, look, why do you think I carry your baby picture in my wallet?
That's not me, Dad.
That's the picture that came with the wallet.
Hey, when I bought this wallet...
Simply put, narcissistic families are more concerned with appearing or feeling like good parents than actually practicing good parenting. They are more preoccupied with the discomforts of life while parenting than genuinely concerned with their duty of shaping proper development during childhood. Or they inherently never wanted to be parents in the first place and simply tolerate their children as they do the weather, traffic, or migraine headaches, as strenuous, unavoidable, stumbling blocks of life, or tokens, precious metals with ameliorating powers that make one's loathed life worth living.